Hey thinkers, let us proceed to our 7th tutorial where we will learn about the timer control and the timer function. In the timer control section, you will learn about the properties, events and the function in the running stage of timer control. You will also learn about the applications of the timer control. After that, we will learn about the timer function, its meaning, its application, and we will solve some of the complicated situations associated with the timer function. We will also create a sample program called the precision game to understand the timer control and the timer function. To understand the timer control, let us create a standard exe project and drag a timer control on our form. There are very few properties of a timer control. The most important property of the timer control is the interval. The timer control is used to perform some tasks or activities at regular intervals of time in the running stage of the program. The enable property, as we can guess, is used to turn on or turn off the timer. The interval property of a timer control is the number of milliseconds after which the timer will execute the code written under it. Like if you set it to 1000, then this timer control will execute the statements written under it every second. The maximum value that you can set for the interval is 65,535. This setting is just a little longer than 1 minute. Give it a little time and make the form look like this or better. I have used 3 labels and 1 command button. The name of this command button is CMD start and the name of this label is LBL num. The name of this timer control is TMR game. What we want our game to do is that as soon as the users click on start game button, the numbers starts countdowning. And when the user clicks on this label, then we want to stop the timer and give the user a score. The score must be maximum when the number is near 0 and must be minimum when it's away from 0. First of all, we'll calculate the interval property of this timer. We want our game to run for maximum 5 seconds. Hence, we'll write 5000 and our game will start increasing the numbers as soon as it reaches 0. Means the total numbers that we will have is 198. So we get the timer's interval, that is 25.25. So we'll round it off to 25. Now let us turn off the timer by default. Now let's move to the code window. Double click on the start game button and write tmr game.enable is equal to true, because we want to enable the timer as soon as the user clicks on the start game button. And we also want to disable the CMD start button to avoid any kind of conflicts in the running stage of the program. Let us clean up the caption of this label for a while. Now we will be declaring 2 variables. The first one is dim num as integer and the second one is dim strnum as string. Now we'll move to the code for form load and we'll write num is equal to 99. Now let's write the code for the timer. The timer control have only one event associated with it, and that is the timer event. When we apply the str function, then Visual Basic adds a space at the start automatically. Like if you write str of 98, then Visual Basic will return space 98. So to avoid this thing, we use the library function called trim. The trim function is used to remove spaces at the end and at the beginning. Now we will initialize strnum with 99. Now we will write lbl num.caption is equal to strnum, and then we will start decrementing the num. So we will write num is equal to num minus 1. Now we have to change the value of the strnum. So we will be writing strnum is equal to string of num. But as I told you that it will add a space at the beginning. So to avoid that, we will use trim of str of num. Now we want to avoid the display of negative numbers. So we will write if num is greater than 0, then do this. Else do this. Means we are multiplying the num by -1 to get a positive value if it is negative. Now the two events for the graphical update. Now we want that the user loses on time if the number reach 99 for the second time, that is when it is increasing from 0 to 99. For that we'll write if num is equal to -100, because when the LBL num will display 99, the actual value of num will become -100 because the graphics is updated before num. And then we'll write message box, you lost on time. And then we have to reset everything like the game was never run. cmd start.enable is equal to true, num is equal to 99, strnum is equal to double quotes 99, tmr game.enable is equal to false, and lbl num.caption is equal to double quotes. This double quotes represent an empty string, and then we'll write and if. We can also give a colorful representation of the number, that when to click the label actually. For that we'll write lbl num.forecolor. The forecolor will change the color of the text of lbl num, and then we'll write RGB. We want the color to be red most when the number is 99, and we want it to be green most when the number is 0. So we are not concerned with the blue color, so let's zero it for a while. To calculate the red component, we'll write 255 upon 99 multiplied by value of lbl num dot caption. That means when the value is 99, then it will be cancelled and the remaining value will be 255. But if this value is 0, then this whole thing will be 0 and the red component will automatically be 0. Calculate the green component, we'll write 255 upon 99 multiplied by 99 minus value of lbl num dot caption. Now let us code the lbl num section, that is the click event of lbl num. First of all, we want that the TMR game must be disabled as soon as the user clicks on the lbl num. Next, we want to check the value of lbl num. So we'll write select case value of lbl num dot caption. Then we'll write and select. So our first case will be case 0. Case 0 must return message box saying perfect, score 100. Then we'll write case 1 to 10. The case 1 to 10 means that any value between 1 and 10. Then we must give it a message box, good enough, score 80. Then we'll write case 11 to 30. And then message box, average, score 50. And then case 31 to 50. Message box, bad, score 20. And then case 51 to 99. And then we'll write message box, worst, score 5. And then end select. We want to do the same thing, that is the reset of the game as soon as the user clicks on lbl num. So we'll copy this whole section and paste it here. So now let us sample run our program. I got a good score. And this time I got worst. So this was all about the timer control. Now let us move to the timer function. The timer function is used to calculate the amount of time or the duration that a process takes, like for how long an application was used. The timer function returns the number of seconds since last midnight. Therefore, the maximum value that the timer function will return is 24 into 60 into 60, or actually 24 into 60 into 59. Now let me tell you the usage of the timer function. First of all, we will declare two variables, that is dim start as double and dim end as double. Now in the form load event, we'll write dim start is equal to timer. And in the form unload event, the form unload event is fired when the form is unloaded from the graphical memory. So now we'll write dim end is equal to timer. This statement will save the number of seconds since last midnight in TIM start when the program was started, and this value will save the value of number of seconds since last midnight in TIM end, and this is fired when the program ends. So now we can write message box, so you used my game for plus str of TIM end minus TIM start plus seconds. Alright, so this will display the number of seconds for which you use the program. So now we'll sample run our program. Yo, I got a perfect score. And now we'll close the program to check for how many seconds we ran the program. And we'll say, so used my game for 17.001999931 seconds. As you can guess, the timer can be sometimes problematic, like if the user starts the program at 11:59 in the night and ends the program at 1 AM. Then this will return the value in negative, because the number of seconds since last midnight when the program was started was fairly high, but when the program was closed, that number was pretty small, and then this value will be negative. But we have a solution to that, and then we'll write IIF TIM end minus TIM start is greater than 0. Then we will write TIM end minus TIM start, else we'll write 86400, that is the number of seconds in a day, plus TIM end minus TIM start. So this is going to solve the problem with the program running past midnight. Definitely there must be issues when the program is ran for days, and for that we'll discuss it later because it will require the knowledge of the date library functions. Now the time for the exercise. And this time your exercise is that you have to think that how can you make the timer interval to 5 minutes. Of course we know that the maximum value of the timer interval is just a little more than 1 minute, but we want a task to be done every 5 minutes, and you have to think how can we do that. At last, let me tell you the properties of timer that are accessible in the running stage of the program. You can change the enabled property of the timer, as I told you. Also, you can change its interval in the running stage of the program. By changing the interval of TM or game or any other timer in the running stage, we can add flexibility to our program. So that was all about timer control and the timer function. See you guys in the next tutorial where I'll be telling you about the control arrays.